postage boxes from the post office. They're about £2 each. You can fit a good sized wig and a polystyrene head in them without crushing anything. Really nice. It's not going to get chucked around, hopefully. If it does, you're not going to get too much damage on it than if it was shoved in a suitcase. Long wigs, short wigs even, brush them before and after you put them on the head. When you pack them, just keep it looking nice. If it looks a bit messy, just give it a quick brush. Long wigs, I generally braid them before I put them into storage or before I travel with them. Don't braid them too tightly. You want to kind of do it very loosely, and then the day before you're planning on wearing it, get it out, give it a quick brush, just hang it up and let all the waves fall out in case it has kinked. Keep things out of the sun. I'm sure everyone who's put posters up on the wall, you take the poster down, you've got a lovely little square of nice colour there. The sun will colour, bleach, anything really, that includes wigs. If you've got it in the sun, in your bedroom, you'll probably find after a couple of months or a year or so, the colour will fade. And if it's not your own colour in the sun, you're going to get pale at the front, darker at the back. Go through untangling if it does get tangled later on. Onto styling. So we've got basic cutting. Anyone who's been to a hairdresser knows they kind of pull it down and then snip either diagonally or vertically. You never want to cut straight along. You'll probably get a wonky line, to be honest, unless you're absolutely perfect, and it's not going to even out because the hair just isn't going to grow out. If you're going from a really long wig to a really short, work in sections. Don't try and take it all at once. If you do and you find you've gone wrong, you can't do anything really. You can't put back in what you've taken off. I usually go about 1 inch at a time, check it, turn it around, see what you feel like, even it out if it's a bit wonky, and then just continue working up. For layers, like, go and watch a hairdresser. Ask them to layer your hair if you want. You see they pull it out to the side and snip downwards and then kind of feather it a little bit. It's kind of tricky to get the hang of it and the kind of nice layers they generally get. So again, party wigs, practice, see what works for you. And anyone who's got a beard or shaves their head, clippers are fantastic. If you're shaving a wig, always keep in mind that you're not going to get scalp underneath. You're going to get layers of netting. So I generally go maximum about 1/2 inch before you want to get to holes. So again, work down inch by inch, just shaving little bits off at a time. It will take a long time because they're clippers for hair, not plastic. Obviously they may possibly blunt the blades in the end, but you probably won't shave it with a nice one. Spikes. I generally plan what I'm going to do first before I tackle it. If you've got a lot of spikes, so you've like Roxas, Sora, I work from the front to the sides to the back. Get a whole load of hairbands, section it off, see how much you want in each spike, hold it up, see what it's going to look like, tie it off. Then just work your way around until you've got basically loads of little ponytails of spikes you're going to go. Then scissors, start cutting it down to kind of the right length of the spike you want. I generally snip in a V shape so you don't get just a big stub at the top. It gives you a nice little point at the tip and you don't get a really bulky end. You can do it once you've kind of styled it with hairspray, cuts, whatever. It's a bit more tricky to get it looking nice and even because it's so clumped together at that point. If you do it beforehand, you can kind of work it in, get it looking even, nice. Sometimes if you're doing, especially boy styles I've noticed, on shorter wigs, don't try and spike the whole thing. Even if it looks like it's sectioned, you're probably going to spike it and you'll end up thinking, it's spiked, but it doesn't look quite as natural as what I've hoped. Sometimes it's nicer to just do the front, bit of the sides, and possibly leave the back just natural. heat styling, this was a completely straight wig. This can be used for doing lifted bangs, curls, waves. For the waves, I usually plait the hair nice and tight, depending on how tight you want the waves. The thickness of the braid will obviously alter the wave as well. And then boil the kettle. If your shower goes hot enough, you can use that. I know some people always use a spray bottle of water and a hairdryer as well. Pour it on, let it dry, take the braid out, and you'll have some lovely waves. Brush it through with your fingers, not a hairbrush, because it will just separate them all again. Curls, I generally use hairspray bottles, rolling pins, plastic juice bottles. Wrap it around again, kettle, shower, leave it to dry, and then unwrap. With lifted fringes, I generally lift and use pins just to kind of shape around the fringe, and then again, kettle water, let it dry. That will be a permanent style on your hair until you either heat style it again or brush it all out. Braiding and kind of low tails at the base of the neck. You can kind of get away with using most wigs for this. You don't really need an overly thick wig. You just want to make sure it covers around the back. Mostly at the sides you'll find the netting will show. It's difficult to tell on the internet what kind of wig you're going to get in terms of thickness. Ask people. If you see a nice thick wig you like and you want to braid it, just say where did you get it from. Like I said earlier, stretch it over the head as much as possible. Once you've braided it, if it's too tight, you're not going to be able to get it on your head. You're going to have to do it again. Brush the wig, make sure it's all sectioned out. As you're braiding it, make sure you keep brushing it. You'll find it becomes unbelievably tangled if you don't, and it'll be really difficult once you get to the bottom, and it will just be frizzy and horrible, and it won't look very nice. With ponytails, just keep brushing it nice and smooth. You'll probably find once you put it on, it'll just kind of shift slightly to the shape of your head. Sometimes you might want to do it while it's on your head anyway. With tails like that, I generally redo them every time I've worn them. You'll find as you take it on and off, it'll just be pulled around, and it's just a bit nicer to kind of do it fresh each time. Detangling. It kind of depends on how tragic a wig looks, to be honest, if you want to attempt this. Sometimes it's better just to chuck the thing out and get a new one. Short wigs probably will never get tangled. You're looking at kind of shoulder length and beyond, especially cheaper wigs, 51-inch wigs, really long ones. Also, if your costumes are satin, silks, anything that's going to cause friction at all, it's going to take a long time. You're looking at about 2 to 3 days work depending on the extremity of it. Work from the bottom to begin with. Don't try and just tackle all the knots. You'll just pile them up around the middle and it will be impossible to tackle. Work from the bottom, one knot at a time. I generally section it off if I can. Do a couple of snips just to get it loose. Don't cut too much away, otherwise you'll just end up with a horrible, thin, patchy looking wig. If you've got to do that, it's probably time to throw it out. As I said, work one knot at a time, gently brushing it. Don't pull it too hard, otherwise it will just snap back and it'll get more tangled. Tease it out gently, slowly. I work generally with a wide-toothed square brush. Don't need a wig brush, really, if you don't want to get one. Just a nice, big, wide brush. The curled ones, don't even attempt it. You'll get tangled before you even know it. Work from the brush until it's ready for a comb, and then just keep teasing it out one at a time, working down. It will probably look a bit ratty at the end when you're done with it. This is what it looked like before. There was blue tack in this. It was not a pretty sight. This was after all the knots were removed. As you can see at the bottom, it's kind of looking really quite frizzy and kinked. This is because it's not hair, it's plastic. It will not, and you'll find once, even if you've unknotted it, it will be kinked because it's bent into the shape of the knot while it's been there. So the next step you want to do is straightening it again. Obviously, if you've got a styled and wavy wig, unfortunately, if you don't want to lose the style, you're probably going to have to put up with the frizz. If not, if you don't mind restyling it, then you're going to have to straighten and then get back to the style you once had. I generally set mine up on a camera tripod on the wig head. Let it all hang loose, don't let it have any bends or kinks because you're going to be using hot water, and the idea is to let gravity take it all down nice and straight. I generally do one lot of hot water on it, kind of let it sit for a little while, do some more, work some conditioner in. You don't need wig products, any conditioner. I use Head & Shoulders, it's nice and cheap, whatever's on offer. Work it through with your fingers. If you've got a wide toothbrush, just slightly tease it through. Wash it out again with hot water until it's nice and straight. Let it drip dry. Depending on how tangled and frizzy it was, you're probably going to need to do it a couple more times just to get it perfectly straight. After that, you won't have any of the frizz with it, and it will hopefully look a bit like this. Obviously, if it's styled, you then have to find, braid it, bottle it, hot water, and you'll get the waves, the curls back that you once had. Wow, that was it. Oh, that was it. Do you know what time it is?
Just before past.
Does anyone have any questions?
Would it be okay to use hair straighteners on the ends?
You can. You really want to be careful with it because it's a lot hotter temperature than boiling water or anything. If you've got ones nowadays that you can alter the temperature to a really low setting, if not, try and put something between it, otherwise you might melt the fibres. Test it out on a little hidden bit before just to kind of see where you're going to get it. Anyone else?
What would you say the best way of keeping the wig forward when you've got a piece in the back?
If it's a really heavy piece, I would say either get some of the little combs that come on the high street wigs. They're really easy to sew. You can buy them in a pack of about 10. Sew them all around the front. You can just slide them into your hair. It really keeps it in place. If not, you know the little elastic hooks at the back, that's just for tightening the wig cap. It might kind of get a bit painful after a while, so it might not be a permanent fix, but it just keeps it on that bit tighter. Because I know at the end of the day, it just kind of slips back and you get hair showing. Yeah. Anyone else?
Do you have any advice for colouring wigs?
I will be covering that in my next poem. Anyone else?
I used to wear a really short wig, but my hair's like really dark.
Right.
It's like it's going to be like that fine. How do I know it's a wig that's not what looks tacky?
What kind of colour is it going to be?
It's going to be crimson. And it's
Ah,
gonna be
right.
Up that way.
If you can, look on eBay, and they generally do red wig caps. They'll do pretty much the primary colours, so if you've got a red wig, blue wig, green wig, just so you don't get the you don't get your hair showing through, it just looks that little bit even. Anyone else? And I think we're done. Okay.